Howdy, I'm Matt, and welcome to today's eSellerCafe e-commerce news roundup. And in today's live session, we are going to be where this is a truly multinational experience for you today, because I'm based here in the United Kingdom of sunniness. We have Dave over in Belgium, of all places, which he actually assures me it's not all made of chocolate.
I'm in Luxembourg. How many times? Luxembourg.
Luxembourg. I'm sorry, I thought it was in Belgium. Oh, there you go. Luxembourg. There we go. Near Belgium.
It is its own place, I promise.
Benelux. That's it.
Benelux. There
exactly,
you go.
Yeah.
And Richard is in upstate New York. So we are from 3 different points from across the globe with you today. Now, what are we going to cover in live with you today? So number one, and today's session is going to be a quick one compared to the previous one. Shopify launches an exchange, a marketplace to sell your online store. That's going to be a really curious one. Virtual reality shopping is here. I've heard this time and time before. We're going to find out some more details about this. Slip up as far as Amazon's Prime Day. You're going to find out more about that too. Envato Elements is going to be taking on some of the big players as far as stock images go. We'll find out about that in a few moments' time. And again, those of you which you're going to be using the artwork for your own e-commerce business, that's definitely going to be worth taking a look at. Amazon plans to release a machine translation service. And two final topics is the weather affecting your e-commerce sales. I reckon it does, but we'll find out for sure in a few moments' time. And also, Dave's going to be discussing same-day delivery becoming really important for e-commerce. And I think it really is important for e-commerce, because anything other than today or tomorrow morning is late in my eyes. But I don't know, what's it like in your eyes? You can let us know in the live chat, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. And of course, remember, you can leave a comment underneath this video or over on eSellerCafe, because all the links to all the articles and the topics which we're covering here today with you are in the video description underneath this video. Just press show more and all the links there for you. So with that said, Richard, Shopify.
Yeah, it's interesting what they did. They created this marketplace where you can sell your store, and when you go on there, you find stores from as little as $50, I think it was, or $49, to I found one for $650,000. So basically, they're creating a business exchange. I have the feeling this is going to turn a little bit into a starter store designer concept thing over a period of time, because people are going to see some opportunity to set up stores and with all the artwork and all the assets, and say, hey, I got this store ready to go for $500 or $1,000. But they're pretty smart about it, and they say it can only be a store that's up and running. In other words, it has to be live. They don't really say that's to take transactions. If you do make, if you do put a live store up that has transactions, they give you the traffic data, they give you the transaction data, because they have all of that. They also say you need to negotiate with the seller, all the normal proper business things such as social media, suppliers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, at this point, it does not appear to be that they're taking any cut off the sale. I think they're looking at it as a way of preserving maybe slow-moving stores where somebody else thinks, hey, I can do something better with that. It's an interesting concept. Let's see where it goes. It's something I haven't seen advertised in this manner, and obviously it only works within Shopify, because it has to be Shopify store, so you can't have a big commerce or one of the other players' store on there. I found it interesting. It's a twist. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's definitely a curious one. I've come across these types of sites before, and some businesses do get sold for a fair amount of money on them. That's for sure. And again, like you said, it's only for Shopify only. I think time will tell what actually comes up with that one. So Richard, can you make like a mental marker to come back to that topic in a period of time, say 3 months time or something like that, and then we'll revisit this topic and see what's happening with it?
I think there's a huge potential there. There's a huge potential, because I know, in fact, a good buddy of mine I was out with last week, he made millions by buying sort of failing businesses, flipping them, selling them on, doing it again just for more and more money. He built a very, he climbed a very quick ladder, bought a website for 500, sold it for 1,000, bought a website for 1,000, sold it for 5,000, and just scaled it up massively. So there's a huge opportunity in this for e-commerce experts like us. If we take failing, businesses or businesses that aren't quite doing it right, and really make an impact. So it's very curious to see what actually happens with that one.
Indeed, right. Like we said, we are going to move quite quickly today. Richard, virtual reality is here. Is the article it's come out? Is it here yet? Or?
Yeah, it's actually here more than, usually we hear this and then, well, we're working on this. It's usually something that we hear about and it's being developed, but we actually have live stores operating that way. We have IKEA in Australia that set up a virtual reality store. You put on the glasses, the cardboard things, and you can walk around. And I don't think they have all their products on sale through that, but it's a virtual catalog. You can actually pick certain parts out of the, if you've been doing IKEA, you have how they set up the rooms and stuff. So you can pick out products out of that, and they get put into a check into your e-commerce cart or into their e-commerce store's cart. So there's an interaction with that. So that's kind of interesting. Alibaba Buy Plus, which was shown off I think last year, is also experimenting. That was an experiment that was shown with HTC. They simplified it again with the cardboard boxes. So that's up and running in China. Then let me see. Amazon Look is out and about. That's an augmented reality concept. Let's face it. I mean, that's was released by one of the big majors. I mean, not Alibaba being a major too, but the biggest e-commerce in the Western world. So that's the first step. And then I had dug up a company called Gatsby, who is setting up a marketplace for home products, and that appears to be sort of like an Etsy, but in virtual reality. Now, when going through the Gatsby concept, that made me think that maybe this VR stuff is going to be a marketplace-driven concept, because it's going to be really hard for Magento or any kind of off-the-shelf commerce card to deal with that. You're going to need a lot of firepower behind this. You need people. Needs a way to scan things 3D. The whole process of setting up. I mean, Gatsby basically says, look, we can do all this work, but like each item will cost, I think, at minimum $50 to scan in effectively. So there is quite a bit of cost involved at this point still. Sure, technology will eventually catch up to where we have maybe a 3D scanner at home. But at this moment, I do see this as I see the big guys getting more into it because the technology is here. I also see maybe potentially someone like Gatsby, like a marketplace, making it. And then the third element in this that really needs to be improved, let's face it, no one wants these big goggles that, that stand like this. That's just ridiculous. We need to get to some form of like a Google Glass concept, something that's more like a sunglass.
Oh, Richard's just died out then. Didn't just carry on from Richard's conversation. Sorry, Richard, you broke up there for a moment. Just going on for the smaller devices, there's some slightly more fashionable devices, which are actually for first-person view with RC models, but those have a price ticket of $350 minimum. Can they be done cheaper? Of course they can.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll get there, but we are seeing not just development, we are seeing live stores, and we are seeing stores that can take orders, and that's a good thing. That will get us there probably pretty quick at this point.
Okay. So I still think VR is still too young, and I agree with you, Richard, that it's going to take a major player to really kick things off. That player won't be eBay, that's for sure. Who's the one? But it's Amazon, isn't it? It's Amazon which are going to go and speak to the manufacturers and subsidize some form of. Because the moment with manufacturer-based listings on Amazon is that they're the ones with the detailed product pages. It's either the manufacturer or in collaboration with Amazon. There's some fees being chucked around in there to improve those product pages. If they go VR, then they're going to go deep, I would suspect, to begin with a collection of specific manufacturers. But until one of the big players takes it off, like you said, people like Magento, they're never going to touch it. It has to come from someone who has a large audience and a will to do it, which, to be brutally honest here, there's only one player really, which would be Amazon. I think, is that a fair assumption? What do you think, Dave?
I think Amazon, as far as marketplaces go, would be the obvious shout. I would also throw a hat in for Facebook. Facebook acquired Oculus back in about 2 or 3 years ago now with their Rift, which was like the first iteration of VR, which most people saw. They just passed 2 billion users. They have 2 billion people's permission to speak to them. The Facebook Marketplace, for those who have used it, is taking off slowly. Obviously, it's very product demand driven. But they don't have any product. That's the thing. We've hypothesized about Facebook going at e-commerce for a while now, and they've just not pulled the trigger on it. And it's not because they can. I just think it's just not a priority for them. I mean, I read the other day that Facebook is looking at creating their own TV shows now. They're funding their own production company. So Facebook have the know-how, the audience, and the ability to do it. They just don't have the product. And that's obviously. So, is there a partnership with Amazon?
We had.
Who knows?
F8, the story that we had like a couple of months ago when they had their the conference, the developer conference, they talked a lot about augmented reality then, and how this is now going to be the next step. So maybe they could be the player to do this. But I think for Facebook to get involved, they're going to want some device that somebody at home can do a 3D scan on. That would be my thinking there. I think that would be how, because everything they showed off at F8 was about, if we do this, and you'll be able to do all these things. Everything was about the user being able to create the visuals. So if we take that as a cue, then I think it's gonna there's gonna have to come some maybe a Facebook smartphone eventually, finally.
Wouldn't surprise me, but I bet they've probably got some software teams working on stitching images together as we speak.
Yep.
Right, gents, keeping a tab on time. Next one, Amazon's made a bit of a slip up as far as their Prime Day. Richard, tell us more.
Yeah, you gotta love when embargoed news gets out, right? There was several people that were thinking about, put out various dates over the last few weeks. And I came across this one on a major Cleveland site, and there was some major chain of TV stations. I'm like, well, this way the wording was like, this sounds like a press release. This wasn't just something somebody wrote up, some intern wrote up and decided I'm going to throw it out there. And then I found this exact same wording on another one of their TV stations. Like, okay, here we now have a slipped through piece of information. This is going to be about as real as it's going to get, and it turned out to be right. So it was, everybody sort of had around that date before anyways, but it was, I guess the perils of embargoing news for way too long. Eventually somebody will screw up and leak it, and once it's out there in the Google News world, you can't pull it back from the website because it's just too hard to do.
So Amazon Prime Day is the 11th of July, and it's going to be confirmed as a 30-hour day. Have we moved to a different planet? What's the deal with this, Richard?
I think the reason using 30 hours is to use most of the time zones, and to start in Europe or maybe probably no, Asia, I would assume, and just to, let's face it, if you have sort of all the various time zones. So I believe that's really what it's all about. It's going to start earlier to start out on the 11th of July somewhere, maybe in eastern Russia or something, I don't know, and just move across. So I believe it has to do with just trying to get as many people into this one day in all these different time zones. I think that's what that whole deal is about.
I'll unmute myself now. Next topic, Envato, which some of you, again, if you don't know who the company Envato is, they run numerous websites. Video Jungle, Theme Forest, Code Canyon, a whole collection of sites of fantastic resources, I hasten to add. And they're going to be adding 24,000 stock photos. That's got to be a kick in the nuts for, what's the Shutterstock, for example?
Yeah, Shutterstock. Yeah, exactly. It's I mean, Adobe Stock and Shutterstock, those guys have millions of images. A lot of times it's, they create similar images from existing images and things like that. So 240,000 is a great number. The best part about it is they always had this plan, so that they had the subscription plan for $29 a month, where you got some theme elements, and you got some 3D elements, some video elements, just a variety of different things that were non-image based. Now they added 240,000 images to that, and now you're like, well, why do I, if you're doing your own website and you happen to be using Shutterstock or Adobe Stock, where you're already paying $29, and you're like, well, yeah, I get more still images with Adobe and Shutterstock, but I get a lot more variety with Envato. So to me, as an e-commerce seller, it would make sense to go to Envato because you get all this variety with it, for $29 a month. And here's the other good news is it's month to month, cancel anytime. The other players sort of try to put you into a one-year program. So you use it for a month, you get as much as you want, and then you unsubscribe for a few months till you do a redesign for the month, and you get as much as you want. So you can really milk this quite a bit, and I think this is this is a company that's been doing very well. I think I read somewhere earlier in the year they're doing $500 million in revenue or something. I'm look that up.
Me, Envato have just literally got bigger and bigger. And by the way, I actually got it wrong. It's not 24,000, it's 240,000 images. So 250,000 images which have been added. So if you are using stock photos for your sites, for your designs, for your marketplaces, then have a nose. Again, you don't know until you have a look. Right. Moving on, Amazon plans to release machine learning. I know we got this right. Machine translation service. Are we going to be seeing that in e-commerce anytime soon, Richard?
Well, this is more of a speculation piece that was put up by CNBC initially. They had purchased this one translation lab company, and they were using it in-house. And so now the big belief is from sources inside of Amazon that this is going to get released to AWS developers first, where they're going to be able to incorporate instant translation into the apps and websites that they're building using the AWS platform. Now, what's the next step after this is obviously going to be instant translation on the shopping channel. It has to be. I mean, when you go look today in the Canadian Amazon, it's already got two buttons for English and French. Now when you click on those, they're not being instantly translated. They are using basically a different template for those situations. And I believe also in Europe, some of the Amazon European sites have multiple languages in there as well. So at some point, it would make sense for Amazon, once they feel comfortable enough to do the translation, on demand, that why do all this internal templating? Plus, it would help the whole marketplace business, which, of course, they have their sales out on the marketplaces, so they're going to want that to be on the marketplaces. So I do see that once I think they get AWS rolled out, maybe it's another year away, but I do believe that within the next 18 months or 24 months, my personal opinion is it's going to become available on the Amazon shopping platform, and it'll allow them to offer not just, for example, in the United States, English and Spanish, but other languages as well, because there are communities that have, especially on the West Coast, where there's a significant Asian community with Japanese and Korean and so on. So this is going to just become part of all of that. I would be surprised if within the next 2 years this is not on the shopping channel. I believe it will be.
Okay. So just for a little quick heads up, those of you which have just been enjoying us in live, we are broadcasting from 3 different locations across the world. Luxembourg, where Dave is. We have Richard, who's just been speaking, up in New York State, and myself over in the United Kingdom. So it really is an international session today for you. Now, with that said, moving on, Dave, the weather affecting e-commerce sales? Is this no big surprise? Like when it's summer, or it's summer when it's sun is shining, we go out and order barbecue stuff? Is it more expensive? Is it deeper than that? Or?
No, it's just one of those topics which always comes about, especially in the UK, where we have such changeable weather. As soon as we get something which is a little out of the season or a little unpredicted, everybody starts trying to, attribute their slowing down of sales, their picking up of sales, and the weather does play a part in e-commerce. It's something which we've seen numerous times, and it's something which, again, a lot, if you as an e-commerce seller, you should try and build in as much as possible to your plan, or at least have contingencies for. So again, we recently in the UK had a bit of a heat wave for for about a week and a half. And it was like knocking on 30 degrees some days, which is very unseasonal for the UK, and we're very unprepared for it. Which means that less people are sat inside on their computers. Everybody goes outside. So traditionally, you'll see more footfall in bricks and mortar stores and much less traffic on your e-commerce store. And of course, this flips both ways around. As soon as I know traditionally we look at sort of September to December as the Christmas period, which rightfully it is. But it also coincides in the UK with our worst weather season, where we get a lot of rain, a lot of wind, occasionally some snow, and it drives less people are out at the bricks and mortar, and more people are inside online, ordering things, at their convenience without having to, go and get wet and cold and all the rest of it. So it's just one of those things. It's not groundbreaking topic, but it's something which comes up usually every summer in the UK. Someone starts attributing e-commerce to weather, and it definitely does play a part. And like I said, as a business, you have to try and do your best to deal with the seasonalities that we have wherever you are in the world, and play the game, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously I normally live in Florida, and we have 2 seasons, hot and hotter. But it's interesting for what I've noticed through all these years of being in Florida, the United States, is that it's important to also realize when you live in southern states in the U.S. that when you don't have the impact of the snow and you don't have the impact of the bad weather, that is happening somewhere else. And that it may even impact your logistics or your shipping, because if you are in Florida shipping to someone in California, guess what? Both of you are probably not sitting in 10 feet of snow, okay? But Memphis, which is where your stuff is going through with FedEx, might be totally snowed in and chaotic, and there's no flights. So those are the things you have to pay attention to. It's not so the weather can impact e-commerce also in a logistics point of view, and that same thing might be a little bit in Europe as well. If you are shipping to different parts of Europe, there's going to be bottlenecks of hubs. So the weather is definitely a big factor in e-commerce, especially the closer you get to Christmas and the more people start to think about, I forgot to order this. I can just put it on next day delivery from somewhere, whatever. Well, what if there's a snowstorm here let's say there's a snowstorm in the Midwest here in the U.S. Next day delivery is pretty much out the window, because everything flies to the Midwest.
That reminds me so much of, I think it was the winter of either 2010 or 2011 here in the UK. I was working for an electronics seller, and we were based in Manchester. The snow was quite bad in Manchester, but nothing terrible. However, the courier company that we were using's major hub was in Lancaster. Lancaster had come to a standstill.
Yes.
And literally to the point where lorries couldn't get into the depot, let alone get back out again. Yeah. So, the thing is that led to, at the time, I think it was a 10 or 15 day delay on expected delivery time. And this was, I think, the 3rd to the 5th of December when this really kicked in. So people were getting very, very wary. They thought they'd ordered with 2 or 3 weeks time notice, plenty of time for Christmas. All of a sudden, people getting very, very, anxious that things weren't going to arrive in time. So, absolutely, even in our little island in the UK, we can still get some different climates affecting different parts of the country. Like I said, it could be sunny, or where you are right now, and someone else could be having a snowstorm up north. So,
Dave, I guess wouldn't apply in Luxembourg, though, right?
It's pretty nice in Luxembourg.
No, I'm talking about the size. The size of the country probably wouldn't be a problem.
Oh yeah, I think if someone breaks wind in the north, we hear it down here in the south.
Terrible, gents. Right, actually, moving on, that kind of feeds nicely into the other article. And by the way, the links to all the articles which we're discussing down in the video description for you. Same day delivery, Dave. It's just not a no-brainer. Literally, I want it now.
That's the thing.
And right now, the best. And instead of actually leaving the office to actually go and get it from actual physical location. I'm just going to slightly off topic. Screwfix is a company here in the United Kingdom. I can order on their website and it will be picked and packed by the time I get to their store. In fact, it'll probably be on their shelves for 10 minutes because they pick and pack it and it's ready for collection within 5 minutes.
Screwfix are fantastic at that.
Unbelievable. But the point being, same day delivery. Yeah. Amazon's the only real one out there. And again, we don't live in London, but the major hub where same day is more feasible because of the population density. But Amazon's the only real one doing same day delivery.
Mm-hmm. And this is the thing is, you have to think back 5-6 years when Amazon started rolling out free next day delivery with your Prime membership. And all of a sudden, they changed expectations globally. Everybody now firstly, they didn't attribute shipping to having a cost because they got they got used to having it for free. And then they also got used to having it next day. So all of a sudden, these courier companies who were charging £3, £4, £5, if not more, for next day delivery, that looked expensive because Amazon can do it for free. And they've done the same thing again here in the UK with same day delivery. And obviously, there's some locations such as the US where same day delivery just physically isn't going to be possible. If you've got a warehouse in California and you've got Richard in Florida, same day delivery, no matter what you do, unless Amazon patent transportation technology, which I'm not going to bet against them, put it that way, it's going to be unlikely. And the same with Australia. You've got West Coast, East Coast, where the big populations are. If you've got a product on the West, a product in the East, you can't get over the physical location. Whereas in the UK, we're very lucky to sort of be in quite a compact place. And an offshoot of that is with some very well-placed fulfillment centers, Amazon can pretty much give a lot of people the opportunity to get same-day delivery. I mean, a few weeks ago, I ordered something on a Sunday morning, and I had the option to get it same day for free.
I do it every time, Dave.
Yeah, and that's it.
I'm really disappointed if I can't have it same day, because I feel like it's my fault that I didn't order it before 11 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah, I should have known I wanted this sooner.
Filament, some RC parts, you name it, turned up here. We had a great big £100 marquee thingy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, same-day delivery here in the United States is Best Buy is doing that too. Within 1 hour, you can pick up pretty much most items from Best Buy. It shows you online whether something in stock. And I'm sure there's other stores too, but Best Buy is one that I've used numerous times. They obviously have the enough physical stores in major metropolitan areas to be able to handle that. I was just looking. Well, it looks like Amazon is patenting supersonic drones. Not just kidding. So same day from California, Florida. No, it's yes, there is here in the U.S. the expectation is still 2 days for most part. I get kind of sort of frustrated when I go on Amazon and they're actually using 2 business days with some items. Because that's typically a marketplace seller item that is not as distributed throughout their warehouses. So the push for 2-day in the United States, but well, the same day is going to come into place that Whole Foods deal, because I think you brought up in the article 17.6%, I believe it was the increase in sales using same-day delivery and food. I think that's where Amazon is going to do it here in the U.S. with Whole Foods. They're going to get probably 80% of the country to be able to do that. Right now, they have warehouses in certain markets that stock about 10,000 products, commonly sold products, that they are already offering same-day delivery service to. Again, a smaller area like maybe Miami, which is Miami-Dade County, but not into where I live in Fort Lauderdale, Pembroke Pines. But that's just a matter of time. So it's all it's coming here. But yes, it will be faster in Europe. It'll be faster in maybe in the Northeast, in the U.S. and places like that. Mm-hmm. But clearly, that's the next step, and Amazon's going to push that.
Yeah, this is the whole thing. Like the one area which High Street always had over e-commerce was instant gratification, the ability to go and physically have something in your hands immediately, and that was always the biggest challenge for e-commerce. And now Amazon is where you can, within a matter of hours, get the product in your hands and not have to leave your home. Convenience always wins. And in a world of instant gratification, it's same-day delivery is only here to stay, and it's only going to get bigger.
Well, and the one final point I would like to make is that I think this is going to also show that marketplaces may be more and more the future of e-commerce, because like we talked about earlier with VR, which is heavy on technology. Now we're talking about logistics, with its heavy on infrastructure. These things are going to allow us to shop better and faster over time. How are you going to do this with just a regular e-commerce store? It's going to become very, very difficult. And I think that's why people talk about Shopify becoming sort of a marketplace over time. I think some of these guys like eCommerce might be going that direction. There's going to be some startups. What's the one in the UK that just started up a month or two ago that switched to a marketplace? So I believe that marketplaces over the long term is going to be our e-commerce. Now, that doesn't mean specialty stores still won't have an ability to do things, but as more and more products become widely available, people are going to want them faster. And how are you going to get them there faster? Only through some kind of incorporation of technology and logistics. And I think this is also an area that eBay eventually is going to have to tackle as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a curious one of those things which is just going to evolve over time. Now, gents,
maybe they're going to start using Elon Musk's tunnels.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Right, gents, very aware of time. We're going to wrap up now. Just to quickly recap what we've covered today. Remember, the links to all the articles which we've been discovered here, discussed live here with you today, is down in the video description. Press the show more button on YouTube, and the links there for you. So Shopify launches an exchange. That's going to be a curious one to watch over or look at in a couple of months' time, I feel. Virtual reality shopping is here. I don't think it is, and I don't personally, we've already discussed this, I don't think it is going to be for a while longer, until basically Amazon come out and actually tackle it head on. And I don't personally feel, I know you were chatting about Facebook, for example, they don't really have any product to sell. So it has to come from a productized business. And again, that even rules out eBay, because they don't have any products of their own. They're all third parties. So that's going to be a curious one. Slip up on Prime Day. Prime Day is going to be the 11th of July, and it's not a normal day. It's a 30-hour day, as Richard suggested, to cover all the different time zones across the world. Then Envato Elements adds 240,000 stock images, which is an awful lot of images. If you're using stock images, have a look at go across to Envato and have a look at that a little bit deeper, because $29 a month is, you make your own decision whether it's good value or not. That's obviously compared against Shutterstock and Adobe Stock as well. We spoke about Amazon with their machine translation service. That is going to be a curiosity to see what actual developers do with the actual application, well, the tools which are available. What happens in the long term, nobody knows just yet. And then we spoke about the weather affecting sales. Absolutely. I know it does from first-hand experience. And Dave's written a full-blown article on that. If you'd like to read that one again, the link is in the video description for you. And the last one, same-day delivery. It is definitely becoming more and more important for e-commerce. And this is click and collect. This is the whole lot. Again, this is like the shebang of getting the item same day. As Dave hit the nail on the head, instant gratification. And for me personally, not having to leave the house. Brilliant. You just turn up and deliver it that evening or that afternoon. It's absolutely fantastic. And it just kind of makes the importance of why Amazon, or fulfillment by Amazon, is absolutely lethal for you as a small to medium-sized business owner. If you can get your kit, you'll get your products in there, then it opens you up to same-day delivery. I think that is absolutely damn cool, amazing. There's no other words of phrasing it. It is absolutely amazing. Again, looking at that from a consumer's point of view. And as Dave said, convenience always wins. And I added the always. So on that note, it is time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for joining us here. Today's live e-commerce roundup from eSellerCafe.com. From myself, Matt.
From me, Dave.
From me, Richard.
See you next week. Cheerios.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.